us the good pictures, but for the safety of our models, please refrain from using flash. And because the glow of the string is distracting to those around you, we ask that you refrain from texting on your phone during the show. The show is about to begin. Welcome and enjoy the show.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Joel Smith and I'm the theater teacher at Poudre High School. And tonight we are here to celebrate the amazing work of Poudre High School theatrical costumers for the last 20 years. I want everyone to understand how rare and unique this is. Not just that we're able to come here tonight and celebrate the work that our costumers have done over the last 2 decades, but the fact that we can celebrate high school theater costuming at all. Because in most schools, having a costume shop is a luxury. Most schools are renting costumes if they can afford to, or they're sending groups of kids in packs like dogs to Goodwill and other thrift stores. They're raiding their parents and their grandparents' costumes. They might have a closet somewhere with some ill-fitting suits and dresses. The last school I was at, the costume shop was a closet in the basement that had 2 broken sewing machines in it, and that's all we had. So this is unusual, and it really is a luxury that we are able to have a full working costume shop where we can design and build fully realized costumes for all of our productions. And that doesn't happen by accident. That's not something that we just got lucky with. It's due in large part to one person, and that is Kari Armstrong. Do I have time for a quick story?
Yes.
Well, if I have time for a quick story, here's a long story. I was hired here 16 years ago to be the theater manager and the technical director, and the first show we did was Hello, Dolly. And Amber Anderson was directing that show, and she brought me down to the costuming basement for the first time. Tangent in my story here. I love watching people walk into the costuming basement for the first time. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, those of you who have been down there, but that first time, people's eyes get really big. It's like a Harry Potter, Willy Wonka, magical, terrifying thing. It really is a land of pure imagination down there. But as I was taking it all in, Amber introduced Kari to me, and she said, "Hi, nice to meet you, and oh, by the way, all of our doorstops have wandered off. Can you cut us some new wooden doorstops?" Okay. So the next day, I was in the scene shop, and I cut a half-dozen doorstops, and I brought them down to Kari in the basement, and she said, "These are great, these are perfect, this is exactly what I need, and oh, by the way, we're doing Hello, Dolly, and we're looking at probably 30 hats that we're going to put together for this show. And the foam heads that we use to mold and hold the hats have very flimsy bases, and they fall over when we're working on them. Could you build us some hat stands in the shop, like 20 or 30 of them?" This was day 2. I said, "Of course, sure, I'll get right on that." And the next day, I was in the shop working on 20 to 30 hat stands of my own design. I don't think they last past that show. But I got a call from Kari, "Can you come down to the costume basement right away? It's very important." I head down the stairs, there I am, and she says, "There's a mouse that has gotten stuck on one of the sticky traps that the custodians use." Another tangent to the story. Our costume shop is in the basement of a 60-year-old building that is right below the school cafeteria and right next to the catering kitchen. And Miss Kari has probably 300 pounds of extra dark chocolate chips stashed in the basement. So mice. Anyway, she says, "Can you take care of the mouse?" This is day 3. Can you take care of the mouse? I looked at her and I said, do you want me to take care of the mouse first, or do you want me to finish the hat stands? And she looked at me, and her lips pursed, and her eyes narrowed, and her eyebrow, one eyebrow, went up, examining me. And if you know Miss Kari's eyebrow, then you know. But in that moment, I think we both realized that we were going to have a lot of fun together. That we were going to challenge each other in the best possible way, and we were probably going to get in a little bit of trouble now and then. You're going to hear a lot tonight about our incredible costuming students. We have students that come into this program as 9th graders, sometimes as 8th graders. They can't do a simple hand stitch. They've never even considered what goes into making the clothes that they're wearing. And many of them, over the years, have graduated with scholarships to go and study theater and design and costuming. Many of them have worked professionally in this area and around the world. Many of them tonight are not here because they are doing this work that they learned at Poudre High School out in the world and making a living doing it. And that is a credit to the teaching that Miss Kari does with those students. So while you will hear about these amazing students this evening, many who have won awards at the state and national levels, gone on to study, like I said, in college and work professionally, I want to talk a little bit about Kari Armstrong. Kari will tell you that she's just a parent volunteer, even now, 20 years later. She'll tell you that she's not a teacher. She doesn't have a teaching license. She didn't study any of this stuff. But I will tell you that Miss Kari is one of the finest educators I've ever been lucky enough to work with. She teaches. She teaches design. She teaches fundamentals of fine and graphic arts. She teaches kids how to draw and sketch. She teaches sewing and patterning and draping. She teaches them the best way to handle fabrics, to choose colors. She teaches all of those incredible skills. But more importantly, she teaches patience. She teaches kindness. She teaches them how to get along even when they disagree. She teaches them inclusivity. She teaches them how to be tolerant. She teaches them how to create beauty in a sometimes very chaotic, sometimes very ugly world. And for that, I am incredibly grateful. And next year, finally, she is actually going to teach a theatrical costume design class.
Yeah!
Before I bring her out here, just a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank the staff and faculty and administration of Poudre High School, past and current, for recognizing that having a costume design expert and having a costume director here at the school created educational opportunities that most high school students never get. I want to thank all of the students who were involved in putting the show together, the technical crew, the stage managers backstage, all of the students who volunteered to be models. They took their own time in a very busy time of year to volunteer to put this show together. Special thanks to Skylar and Carson for really making this happen this evening. And just on a personal note, I haven't been here the whole 20 years that Miss Kari has been, but it definitely feels like it. Doing anything for 20 years is a chore, but Miss Kari makes it exciting every time, makes it feel new every time. So I just want to thank her for making this the best adventure I've ever been on. We've talked over the last few years. I've been very clear with her, when you retire, I'm retiring. And she always says to me, well, when you retire, I'm going to retire. And I don't know which of us is going to blink first, but I do know this. I can't imagine doing this without her. So now I am honored and I am humbled and I am incredibly proud to introduce my colleague and my collaborator, and my partner in crime, and my cherished friend, Miss Kari Armstrong.
Once upon a time, in 2004, as a parent volunteer of an enthusiastic Poudre theater kid, I mentioned that I could sew. And instantly, I became Miss Kari, costume director. And so began my accidental career. I had no idea how wonderful it would be to fall head over heels for hundreds of quirky, fabulous, talented, hilarious, and incredibly dear theater students. The behind the scenes, technical crews are the quiet heroes of a production. The amount of truly hard and skilled work these students do is mind-boggling. Tonight, however, I'm speaking for the costuming piece of technical theater. Here's what our costumers do, and a lot of it Joel just mentioned. I don't even know I'm saying all of this. Let's see. First of all, the students come down to the costume shop with very little or zero sewing experience. Others can sew circles around me. Not all shows require sewing, but it's my goal to get each student comfortable with the sewing machines, sergers, a few specific hand sewing stitches, and to take fear out of sketching out ideas. The first step for every show is to understand the director's concept, to study the script and the characters, and then we start brainstorming, the fun part. We research time periods if needed, color palettes, start sketching, and sometimes make style boards for each character. We pull as much as we can from our costume stock. We fit and measure each actor and check in with the director to see if we're all on the same page. And once ideas are approved, we search for patterns and fabrics and begin to cut and sew. And sometimes we can't find the commercial patterns for what we have in mind. So then we drape and we make our own patterns and we build these wonderful works of art we will see tonight. And when it's showtime, the costume crew often springs into action. They do hair and makeup and warp speed fast changes backstage. You have no idea the pandemonium backstage. These passionate and talented young people are truly astonishing. My apologies ahead of time that I have not always been able to recall by name some of you who worked on which pieces and which costumes, and especially the early pieces. There are so many lovely and interesting costumes that we could not fit into the show tonight. You will find some photos of some of those shows, former students, and general shenanigans in our online program. Tonight is a celebration of our talented and dedicated student costume crews who have enchanted audiences for the past 20 years. Several of you alumni and curtain costumers are in the audience tonight. Would you please stand? This show is dedicated to all of you and your brilliant contributions to our Poudre Theater legacy. These people are some of the magic makers I've had the privilege and joy to work with, to laugh with, to learn with, and to have the honor to know and love. And now let me show you what they've done. Our first show is The Birds. In 2005, I worked with Dulcie Willis, our theater director at the time, on The Birds, based on a Greek comedy by Aristophanes. We invited teachers and administration to play the gods and goddesses. Modeling her original outfit is Sandra Lunt, our beloved principal at the time, who played the goddess of the universe. costume crew was incredibly artistic, and they created one wonderful bird piece after another. These are the mysterious and priestly coryphaeos, modeled after magnificent harpy eagles. Solve any challenge we might have, because he had a garage full of possibilities. He found materials for us, bent PVC pipe and into flamingo necks, and cut radiating styrofoam for the ostrich. And he even figured out how to have our hen lay an egg at will. Of doing this production was a little lukewarm, and even I was a bit worried. Do the costumes have to be airbrush spandex? But Dulcie Willis had something else in her brilliant mind. How about cat-like streetwear? She said, kind of artsy and odd, but contemporary. We will make it kind of an American Idol type setup. Well, that sounded fun. So the set was made from scaffolding and oversized items, a giant playground and back of a back alley. And the costume crew collected contemporary streetwear and then just shredded the heck out of everything. Anthropomorphic headpieces and wild makeup finished off the look. Here are the Jellicle cats. Mungo Jerry is part of a troublemaking duo of cats. Gus, the theater cat, her full name is Asparagus. She had a career as a theater cat and still dreams of those days. Jemima, the youngest kitten with the biggest heart. And Chrysanda, our adorable black and white cat. And here we have old Deuteronomy, the wise and beloved elderly cat, the patriarch who has lived many lives in succession. His well-worn fur is made from scraps of all the other cats' fur shreds. And that's all tied to an undercoat of loose netting. Finally, the lovely and lonely Grisbella, whose long ago famous career was very glamorous. She's now all alone and faded, left with only the memories of her happier days. Beauty and the Beast, 2013. Beauty and the Beast, directed by Joel Smith, was one of those extravagant shows we love to do, and it was indeed a beast. Along with the incredible, dedicated, and obsessed costume crew who never wanted to go home, I was grateful to have dedicated theater parent help from Jane Vasili. The sad story is that several of Beauty and the Beast's main costumes were borrowed by an unfamiliar group several years ago. Information was lost, and the pieces were never returned. Missing is Belle's beautiful golden ball gown, constructed by Anna Antolin, the Beast's glorious velvet coat, constructed by Abby Jordan, the wardrobe's gown, and Cogsworth's custom-made jacket. It would be a dream come true if they were found and brought back home again. But here is Belle, in her pretty blue dress, along with the Beast, both in their daily attire. Making the Beast's head was nearly a disaster, as we let the plaster bandages stay too long on Ben's head, and we were unable to remove it. Panic ensued, of course, but eventually all was well. Gaston sports a rockabilly Elvis-like wig and a stuffed muscle shirt. Mrs. Potts, our darling teapot. This was quite the construction. Thank you, Jean. And after years of tight storage and squashing, quite the reconstruction. Thank you, Gabe. Madame Legrand Boucher, which I think translates roughly to Madame Big Mouth. The wardrobe, the original design and construction by Katie George, restoration after flattened by storage, thanks to our current tech crew. The drawers hold wonderful things. In the air are suave and humorous candelabra and gracious host and castle tour guide. Cogsworth, our frantic rule follower and timekeeper, not at all happy about a castle tour. And the spice of life. Oh, of course, our beautiful Be Our Guest dinnerware. A sampling of the plate, fork, and spoon. And the spice of life, salt and pepper. Some of you may remember that we had an impressive and colorful stage packed with dancing plates, napkins, chefs, and kitchenware. It was quite the scene. And then we did an unknown show called Many Moons. And this was a very dear and quirky fairy tale story by James Thurber. Wonderfully odd characters with huge personalities, and a chance for the crew, the costume crew, to dream up equally odd and wonderful costumes. We used donated draperies and bedspreads, tablecloths. We found lampshades for hats. One of the students had the fabulous idea to use pot holders for apron pockets and jewelry made from old thimbles. We created an intimate black box performance space right on the stage. We closed the curtains and created a very small little theater ring around. Princess Lenore cannot stop her sadness because she wants the moon. The doting and worried king seeks the help of the frivolous court. First, he asks the chamberlain and his equally status-driven wife. But they could not help the king. So the king asked the not-so-wise wizard and his silly wife. But they did not have the answers. The king then turned to the not-so-mathy mathematician, all to no avail. The princess's nurse fussed needlessly throughout it all. And for those of you in the know, the nurse's headpiece has a special guest appearance of a character who is held quite securely in place by sharp knitting needles. And rightly so. All of them are no help at all, but all is made well by the court jester, who of course is the smartest person in the room. The high school version. So puppets? Sure. We could probably build puppets. And then our talented costume crew proved me right. Not only did they build workable puppets, they were adorable and extraordinary puppets. Each puppet was designed to represent our original actors in the role of their characters. These are only 6 out of the 16 puppets, which were created by our very clever crew. Mickey is a supportive friend to everyone. He searches for the truth always and says many unspoken things right out loud. Closeted, very private, and easily annoyed guy who finds himself inexplicably connected to his roommate, the outspoken Nikki. Mrs. Butts, the not-so-nice teacher at school, who is every student's worst nightmare. Monster, a very sweet monster, who dreams of opening a school for little monsters. Kate Monster also has a very big crush on Princeton. Princeton is new to Avenue Q neighborhood, and he is looking for his purpose in life. Lucy, a femme fatale, who catches Princeton's eye, steals him from Kate Monster, and causes a general ruckus. These puppets have traveled to a few local productions of Avenue Q over the years, including a production at Open Stage Theater, which was not the high school version. This was a delightful show on all levels. We were inspired by a production we saw at the International Thespian Conference and could not wait to do our interpretation of the joyous and mischievous characters. The costume crew had full creative freedom. Colorful pipe cleaners made an appearance in many imaginative ways. We used them everywhere. The crew fashioned full pipe cleaner wigs, headpieces, Horton's flower, musical instruments, and even the now deconstructed truffle tree were created with these handy little fuzzy wires. Cat in the Hat, our host and MC, who wove their way in through all the antics in this combined Seuss storyline. Sweet and caring soul, worked hard to protect his newly discovered populated speck of dust. Gertrude, so sad about her one feather tail and trying very hard to impress preoccupied Horton. One of many rainbow-colored birds who surround selfish Maisie. Maisie has left her egg in Horton's care while she flies off to enjoy a tropical vacation. Jojo, who has somehow caught Horton's ear, Jojo and Horton are trying to save their world on that speck of dust. Cindy Lou, another tiny Who in Whoville. I clean your wing. Jungle Creature, one of the many zany and colorful creatures trying to capture Horton and destroy the dust bowl. In the end, all is well, of course. Seems we like to do kind of obscure plays. This one is called Is He Dead? This play is a comedy by Mark Twain. Set in the mid-1800s, the crew had a chance to research and build fashions roughly from that Victorian era. The crew used a combination of historical reproduction patterns and incorporated further ideas from authentic vintage fashion journals. Lita Kress and Rainier Call each fashioned costumes which they presented to the adjudicators at the Colorado State Thespian Conference in Denver. Each of them won superior marks for their work, and Lita won full Critics' Choice Award and a technical scholarship. Woo! Lita's gown for Marie is made from teal curtains and found details. Rainier's gown, for Cecile, is made from soft bed sheets. Both gowns were constructed using a method called flatlining, often used in theatrical costumes for ease of alteration. Madame the Thide is resplendent in rust tablecloths. Purple curtains were found and flat lining used for Cecile's additional costume. My apologies for not recalling who constructed this piece. The artist, Malay, wore more colorful and creative choices of clothing, and later wore a shocking pink gown as he impersonated his dead sister after faking his own death to increase the value of his paintings. A note also about the beautiful bonnets, as the costume crew made a very successful journey into millinery hat making. The interiors of these exquisitely made hats are as lovely as the outside. Clue. Set approximately in the late 1940s or early 50s, the costumes for Clue were a beautiful shock of color as the costume crew went for literal game piece brilliance. Against the colorful and stunning set, the costumes took on a simple cartoon-like impact. Colonel Mustard. It took several coats and dye to match the mustard color of this originally tan military jacket to the fabric of his jodhpurs. I don't remember why Maeve Schinkel made these the day before opening night, but these are the things that happen sometimes. Professor Plum, obvious choices of color for this rascal of a character. Colorful men's suits and jackets are a huge value to our costume shop. Just saying. Mr. Green. More finds from our extensive costume storage downstairs. Miss Scarlett wears an authentic vintage dress which was donated to us. Thank you for whoever you are. Mrs. White, who of course wears black, and a touch of white. Mrs. Peacock. I just have to say that sometimes the obsessive collecting I seem to do pays off. Collecting is a generous word I use just to justify what I do for myself. Other words have been used. But look, I mean, the perfect peacock fabric curtains. I collected just because it's you know what I'm talking about. It was brilliantly designed by Joel Smith and constructed by Laura Linzicki and the technical crew. It is the first time I've ever witnessed the astonished audience break into spontaneous applause by a set change. Our next show is The Importance of Being Earnest. One of the challenges of a high school theater department is a very limited budget. We're often faced with making something from nothing. The costume crew is very proud of the results of this challenge. There is something very gratifying about knowing that you created a stunning piece for $6.99. The Importance of Being Earnest is a perfect example of thrift and repurpose. Although we've developed a great appreciation for discarded drapes, sheets, bedspreads, and duvet covers, we also enjoy visualizing how we can cut up and rework our thrifted finds. We love those unfortunate bridesmaids' dresses and those discarded prom dresses. We've mined old bridal gowns for their valuable crinolines, dyed old lace, remade hats and purses, and found great use for old jewelry, hats, and gloves. Your donations have resulted in innovative and lovely pieces such as these. Algernon wears a cream-colored linen suit from our stock and a brocade vest sewn by someone brilliant on the costume crew. Lady Bracknell's gown, constructed by Anna Antolin, was once draperies. Her hat was thrifted and redesigned. Anna's one of the ones who could sew circles around me. Gwendolyn's purple gown was once a dress found at Arc, bought for the color pattern, paired with lace and more curtains. You tell we love curtains. The body and weight makes them hang as well on people as it does on windows. Gwendolyn's rust dress is also from draperies, a found lacy blouse and hand-pleated details. I repeat, hand-pleated. I wish I could remember who made this because, wow. The Addams Family. What fun we had with the Addams Family. We stayed very close to the iconic looks, but we still added our own take on the costumes. The ghostly white costumes for the ancestors were especially interesting to pull together, and the pale wigs and makeup finished off the ghoulish look. Morticia wears a lacy black mermaid-style gown with a long zipper, enabling her to star in a daring tango. Gomez in an iconic pinstripe suit and a black shirt from our costume shop. Wednesday is older in this play, has become engaged, and well beyond her pigtails. She still wears a dark goth look, but makes a short-lived decision that she should try something besides black. Yellow, however, was not her color. We couldn't find the perfect fabric for her dress, so the costumers shrugged, made their own fabric, and they printed it with hand stenciling. They're just innovative and smart that way. Pugsley, in his iconic striped t-shirt, he simply bonds with and carries around the monster under his bed. Grandma sports a wonderfully wacky combination of whatever the heck she wants to wear. Silent Lurch, having stood still for so long, has had birds roosting on her shoulders. outfits from various points in time and depth. Note the skeleton on the poodle skirt. The 13 Clocks, another obscure show by James Thurber. You seem to like James Thurber. And you heard a little bit about Joel and me. I found a pair of embroidered periwinkle shoes that inspired me to want to build a costume around them. No, I didn't have any idea of who or which play, but there must be something out there, right? So naturally I bought them. Then I went to Joel Smith. I want to find a gorgeous little play where the costumers can build wonderful clothing, have the chance to just shine, no specific time period, very fantastical, and I want big puppets. So Joel totally indulged me and read so many plays. None of them felt quite right until he found the 13 Clocks. Perfect. The costume crew went wild, using many of the luscious fabrics we collected and all the wonderful ideas from their brilliant brains. We made our own little black box again on this stage and could only seat 92 people per night. I love that we can share these gems once again with a larger audience. Here is Princess Sarah Linda wearing the shoes. Finding fabric for this coat was challenging as it just had to match both the shoes and her wild hair. Maeve Schinkel designed and constructed these pieces. The prints. I wish you could feel this beautiful velvety fabric, generously donated to us by our dear patrons and Nixons. This coat is made by Carter Larson. Here is the Evil Duchess, who's obsessed with jewels. This was a Critics' Choice Award-winning costume at the Colorado State Thespian Conference, made by costumer Mason Odell. The gown is Mason's very first dress she's ever sewn. Impressively beautiful and perfect for the Duchess. Made with much love as per all the beadwork done on the hood and cape. The leaf-covered boots and the belt of useful traveling trinkets. I love the strange and gorgeous color combinations the costumers put together throughout this show. Here is one of our characters, the Tale Teller. This stunning costume was designed, built, and hand-painted by Alex Belda. This was also a Superior Costume winner at the Colorado State Thespian Conference in Denver. The costume crew often likes building in our own private Easter eggs that no one knows about but us. The Tale Teller's hat is a flower pot topped with a piece of tinker toy. The Jacqueline is a traveling dandy, very well dressed and worldly. Gollums, a mischievous and magical elf with a notably strange hat. Much like an iconic jester, the smartest character in the play. We We used various fabrics around a very old, faded velvet folk vest. Every prince and princess should have white steeds at the end of the story, right? Our technical crew gets most of the credit for constructing these giant horses from wire, fabric, and glue, painted by Willow Conant. Romeo and Juliet. Joel said, we can do anything we'd like, and so we did this. Joel had originally wanted to do something kind of edgy, as is his wont, with big painted appropriate words, but things evolved differently. Romeo. We've done Romeo and Juliet twice, both in deliberately obscure time periods and unrecognizable countries. Somehow we come to the same conclusion in both productions that Romeo is a blue jean jacket kind of guy. Juliet. For years I've wanted to use this beautiful embroidered fabric, which was so generously donated to us by you-know-who. This was our perfect opportunity, but when it came time to design, we couldn't bear to cut it. So the costumers draped a single rectangle into this lovely robe for Juliet. Princess of the City. We altered several roles a bit because it's fun to mess with Shakespeare. So the original Prince of the City became our Princess of the City. Households of Montague and Capulets become two strong women, Montague in silver and Capulet in gold. Writing of these characters is surprisingly conducive to changing genders, and it worked beautifully. Purple became the symbolic neutral color we used for the Princess of the City and Mercutio. We also used touches of purple for the friar, who aided and abetted the two tragic lovers. And remember when I mentioned that Joel had thought to make this an edgy show? We were going to make all the costumes and then do big black graffiti messages all over. But when it came time to splash on the paint, well, we just couldn't. How could we do that? He gave up and presented a pretty show and said, it was good to be like that. Our next show is James and the Giant Peach. Much time was spent sketching outlandish illustrations while imagining these insects for James and the Giant Peach. And did I mention how much we seem to like puppets? The show was an absolute joy to work on. The students' efforts won them a coveted Colorado Bobby G. Award for costume design. The Bobby G. Awards are like the high school version of the Tony Awards for students all over the state. We were also featured on the cover and in an article for Teaching Theater magazine. Alumni Lexi was our original James in the show. Our insects were first introduced in a garden by using these stunningly crafted puppets. Later on, the insects became a languidly exotic Miss Spider, costume designed by Lita Kress, also a Colorado State Thespian Critics' Choice Award winner. A curmudgeon of a centipede, designed by the crew and constructed by L. Armstrong. And yes, she is my niece. A timid and easily panicked earthworm, designed by the crew and constructed by Tim Cortez. Dandy of a grasshopper, designed by the crew and constructed by Elizabeth Vandermeer. And a kindly and adorable ladybug, designed by the crew and constructed by Michaela Hernandez. The Lot Awards spun magical tales and narrated throughout. The coat was designed by the crew and constructed by Rainier Call, using patchwork fabric from all the insect costumes. Accompanied by a lovely garden of flowers. Hats designed by the costume crew. The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid was our first official, full audience comeback from COVID. What a celebration to be able to congregate in a theater again and do a live performance. This was also a show we as costumers had dreamed about doing. The 28-member crew went all out. We made most everything from scratch. A parent who owned a fabric store in Colorado Springs at the time donated hundreds of yards of rainbow fabrics. Anything we wanted just seemed to appear, and the sky was the limit. Thank you, Crew and Fan. Ariel was with her constant companions and voices of reason, Flounder and Sebastian. And of course, here's Ursula and her terrifying wheels. Originally, Ursula had a skirt on wheels made from curved PVC pipe that my handy husband Don built, which eased the weight of approximately 50 pounds of stuffed octopus legs. Our superwoman Hannah is rocking this costume unaided by wheels tonight. Dozen or more colorful and imaginative under-the-sea and lake creatures. Not seen are corals and seaweed, turtles, frogs, dragonflies, and flamingos. But we do have various other creatures: lionfish, seahorses, betta fish, and flowing jellyfish. Unfortunately, Titan's amazing armor and costume, designed and built by Nora Vanessa, was crushed beyond repair. And the fabric in his shimmering layers of skirts was ruined, mined for something else. We don't have a costume for the prince either, but a prince is just a prince. And last in our lineup is Anastasia, our epic musical this past fall. And what an undertaking this was. We knew it was going to be a big costume show, but we're still reeling by how big. The costumes from 1906 Russian royalty through the Russian Revolution years, and all ending in 1927 Paris. Such specific timelines, and all adding up to 120-something costumes. Many of the costumes are found pieces, and a few rare surviving treasures are actual vintage garments and accessories from the 1920s. Thanks to the inspiration from our stack of 1920s fashion books and other favorite online sources, the costume crew faced the challenge of reworking some of our existing costumes. The drop waistlines of the 1980s mirrored some of the silhouettes from the 1920s, so we repurposed looks where we could. Airtate, a rather astonishing designer from the era, became a favorite muse of the costume crew, and we often looked at a plain dress and asked ourselves, what can we do to airtate this? And then, as this magical, talented, hilarious crew often does, they researched, built, constructed, measured, and draped. Their sewing skills resulted in the exquisite Russian royalty gowns and many of the lovely velvet dresses in the second act. To say I'm proud of these extraordinary young people is such an understatement. They are my absolute heroes. Anastasia, Dmitri, and Vlad in their distressed Moscow clothing. Romanovs at their last ball in 1906. The Tsar and the Tsarina. And Anastasia's sisters. Lily in spring green velvet, constructed by Leighton Della Monash, using an authentic reproduction 1920s pattern, and 1920s flapper-style dresses for scenes in the Neva Club. These were dresses which we repurposed or added to. It was gratifying to use some of the beautiful vintage beaded fringe that we've had for years. A lot of velvet in some of our dresses for the night of the ballet, one of which I am also wearing. The coat and the dress were designed by various people on our costume crew, and it was a group effort. Velvet is very challenging to work with, but the results are so yummy, we just had to work through it. The Empress's cape alone is 7 yards of gorgeous purple velvet, with hand-sewn weights making the drape elegantly behind her. These are true vintage dresses from the 1920s, the blue and the purple and lilac. Our final gowns, Anastasia's purple velvet gown, designed and constructed by Alex Belda. The Empress in her blue brocade, designed and constructed by Carter Larson. And our final Anastasia in a blue gown, repurposed and constructed by Reagan McIver. This is the gown that graced our poster and represented behind the scenes. This, dear costumers, is what you have made. This beautiful array of character and color is what you have given us. You did this. You took totally unfamiliar and hard things and just made them look easy. You made lovely pieces, hilarious things, and impossible things. And each of these costumes is infused with the spirit of your brilliance, your laughter, your talents, and your dedication. I look at this small percentage of the full body of your work and I am completely undone. Because swirling in them and around them are the memories of you, your faces, your hands, your struggles, your beauty, your laughter, so much laughter. All of you, in your own spectacular and intricate ways, are solidly in my heart. You are gifts in my life. You make me beam. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Hopefully we'll see you next weekend for 6 the musical.
Yeah!